If you want to speak English confidently, naturally, and effortlessly, you're in the right place. In the next 2 hours, you'll learn 1,600 real sentences used by real people in real situations. These are not textbook lines, not robotic expressions, and not strange phrases nobody uses. These are the sentences you'll hear in cafes, offices, airports, homes, group chats, meetings, and every corner of daily life. If you stay with me until the end, your English will not only sound more fluent, it will feel alive. You'll understand people faster, respond more confidently, and express your thoughts without fear. So, take a breath, get comfortable, and let's begin this journey towards strong, natural English. Thank you for choosing English in Motion today. I'm really glad you're here. If you enjoy learning English with real sentences and natural explanations, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more learners discover these lessons and join our community. Now, let's get started right away. Let's begin with everyday communication, the kind of English that makes conversations flow smoothly. These sentences are simple, natural, and used constantly. Listen carefully and repeat with me when you can. The first one is, "How's everything with you?" This is a friendly way to start a conversation, often used with coworkers or friends you haven't seen in a few days. Try it now. How's everything with you? Another natural sentence is, "I've been meaning to ask you something." This is useful when you want to bring up a topic you've been thinking about. It sounds natural, polite, and gentle. Repeat it with me. I've been meaning to ask you something. When someone shares news with you, whether positive or neutral, you can say, "Oh, that makes sense." This shows understanding and keeps the conversation flowing. Repeat, "That makes sense." If you want to show interest in someone's update, say, "Tell me more about it." This sentence is powerful because it shows curiosity and respect. Try it with me. Tell me more about it. In daily conversations, people often mention their plans. A natural response is, "I hope it works out for you." This is polite, supportive, and very common. Repeat, "I hope it works out for you." When something good happens to someone, you can say, "I'm really glad to hear that. This sounds positive and genuine. Try it now. I'm really glad to hear that." If someone tells you something difficult or stressful, you can respond with, "That sounds tough." Are you okay? This shows empathy and care, something native speakers do naturally. Repeat, "That sounds tough. Are you okay?" Let's practice a short mini conversation using some of these new sentences. Listen first. A says, "How's everything with you?" B responds, "Things are all right, but work has been a bit stressful." A says, "That makes sense. Tell me more about it." B replies, "I've been working late every night this week." A responds, "That sounds tough." Are you okay? Now repeat the dialogue slowly with me. A, "How's everything with you?" B, "Things are all right, but work has been a bit stressful." A, "That makes sense. Tell me more about it." B, "I've been working late every night this week." A, "That sounds tough." Are you okay? Good. Now let's learn more useful everyday sentences. A natural way to share that you're tired is, I didn't sleep well last night. This is common in many conversations. Repeat, I didn't sleep well last night. If something is taking longer than expected, you can say, this is taking more time than I thought. Repeat that slowly. This is taking more time than I thought. When someone is explaining something and you want to show that you understand, say, I see what you're saying. Repeat, I see what you're saying. If something surprises you, say, I wasn't expecting that. Repeat, I wasn't expecting that. Here's another useful one. Let me know if you need anything. This is warm, friendly, and very common in English-speaking countries. Repeat, let me know if you need anything. If you want someone to wait for a moment, say, give me a second. It's casual and natural. Repeat, give me a second. When someone shares good news, here's a supportive sentence. You must feel really happy about that. Repeat, you must feel really happy about that. Let's build another small conversation with some of these sentences. Listen first. A says, give me a second. I'm finishing something. B responds, no problem. Take your time. A says, thanks. This is taking more time than I thought. B says, I see what you're saying. Let me know if you need anything. Now shadow the conversation with me. A, give me a second. I'm finishing something. B, no problem. Take your time. A, thanks. This is taking more time than I thought. B, I see what you're saying. Let me know if you need anything. Excellent. Now, let's continue with more real-life English you can use today. If you want to check on someone's plans, say, do you already have something in mind? This is natural and polite. Repeat it. Do you already have something in mind? When offering help. Another natural phrase is, I can help you with that if you want. Repeat, I can help you with that if you want. If you need a short break, say, I just need a minute to clear my head. This is realistic and used often. Repeat, I just need a minute to clear my head. When you hear something confusing, you can say, can you explain that in a different way? This is polite and useful. Repeat, can you explain that in a different way? Let's add one more for this section. I appreciate your honesty. This is powerful because it shows respect. Repeat, I appreciate your honesty. Let's keep going. In this section, we'll continue exploring natural, everyday English sentences that make conversations feel smooth, confident, and connected. Listen carefully. Repeat when possible. And imagine yourself using these sentences in real life. A useful sentence you can use when someone shares exciting news is, that must feel amazing. This shows emotion and understanding. Say it with me. That must feel amazing. When you want to politely refuse something without sounding rude. Use this, I really appreciate it. But maybe another time. This sentence is gentle, respectful, and very commonly used. Repeat. I really appreciate it. But maybe another time. If someone gives you helpful information, you can respond with, that helps a lot. Thank you. This sounds grateful and sincere. Try it. That helps a lot. Thank you. When something unexpected happens, you can say, "Wow, I didn't see that coming." This is natural and expressive. Repeat, "I didn't see that coming." Here's another one you'll hear often. Let's figure this out together. This sentence is perfect for teamwork and problem solving. Repeat, "Let's figure this out together." If you want to encourage someone who is unsure, say, "You're on the right track." This sentence gives confidence. Try it. You're on the right track. Now let's build another mini dialogue using some of these new sentences. Listen first. A says, "I finally finished my project." B responds, "That must feel amazing." A says, "It really does." "Thanks for your help." B says, "No problem. I'm glad it helped." A says, "You're on the right track with your project too." Now repeat the dialogue slowly with me. A, "I finally finished my project." B, "That must feel amazing." A, "It really does." "Thanks for your help." B, "No problem. I'm glad it helped." A, "You're on the right track with your project too." Great. Now let's continue with more real-life sentences you can use in daily conversations. Sometimes you want to check if someone understands your point. You can say, "Does that make sense so far?" This sentence is friendly and helps communication stay clear. Repeat, "Does that make sense so far?" When you're explaining something and want to simplify it. Use. Here's the simple version. This makes your explanation easier to follow. Repeat. Here's the simple version. If you want to buy some time before giving an answer, say, "Let me think about it for a moment." Repeat. Let me think about it for a moment. When responding to an invitation you like but can't accept, you can say, "I'd love to, but I already have plans." This is polite and respectful. Repeat, "I'd love to, but I already have plans." If someone shares something impressive or surprising, respond with, "Seriously, that's incredible." Repeat, "Seriously, that's incredible." Now imagine a short scene using these new sentences. A says, "I was asked to lead the meeting today." B responds, "Seriously, that's incredible." A says, "Thanks, but I'm a little nervous." B says, "Here's the simple version. Just stay calm and be yourself." A says, "Does that make sense so far?" B answers, "Yes, you'll be fine." Now shadow the conversation with me, slowly and naturally. A, "I was asked to lead the meeting today." B, "Seriously, that's incredible." A, "Thanks, but I'm a little nervous." B, "Here's the simple version. Just stay calm and be yourself." A, "Does that make sense so far?" B, "Yes, you'll be fine." Good. Now let's move on to another useful group of sentences based on showing interest and keeping conversations alive. When someone tells you a story and you want to show active listening, say, "What happened next?" This keeps the conversation going. Repeat, "What happened next?" If the story is surprising, respond with, "No way. That's unbelievable." Repeat, "No way. That's unbelievable." When you want to politely ask for someone's opinion, say, "What's your take on this?" This sounds intelligent and natural. Repeat. What's your take on this? If you're unsure about something, you can use I'm not completely sure yet. Repeat. I'm not completely sure yet. Here's another one. Let me double check that. This is useful at work, school, or everyday life. Repeat. Let me double check that. Now let's combine these sentences into a mini conversation. Listen first. A says, I heard they're changing the entire schedule next week. B responds, what's your take on this? A says, I'm not completely sure yet. I need more information. B says, no way. That's unbelievable. A says, let me double check that before we assume anything. Now shadow the conversation with me. A, I heard they're changing the entire schedule next week. B, what's your take on this? A, I'm not completely sure yet. I need more information. B, no way. That's unbelievable. A, let me double check that before we assume anything. Excellent. Now let's keep building your natural English sentences with expressions for planning and organizing your day. A useful sentence for making appointments is, does this time work for you? This is polite, clear, and used constantly. Repeat. Does this time work for you? When someone suggests a time you like, respond with, that works perfectly for me. Repeat. That works perfectly for me. If you need to change the time, say, can we reschedule for a bit later? Repeat. Can we reschedule for a bit later? When you're making an agreement, say, that sounds like a solid plan. Repeat. That sounds like a solid plan. If you're unsure about timing, you can ask, should we decide now or later? Repeat, should we decide now or later? Let's place these into a conversation. A says, does this time work for you? B responds, actually, can we reschedule for a bit later? A says, sure. How about 3 in the afternoon? B says, that works perfectly for me. A replies, great. That sounds like a solid plan. Now shadow the conversation with me. A, does this time work for you? B, actually, can we reschedule for a bit later? A, sure. How about 3 in the afternoon? B, that works perfectly for me. A, great. That sounds like a solid plan. Very good. Now let's move forward with more real, daily, natural English. When you want to express relief, say, I'm glad that's over. This is very common after something stressful. Repeat, I'm glad that's over. If someone helps you fix a problem, respond with, you saved me a lot of trouble. Repeat, you saved me a lot of trouble. When you want to comfort someone, say, it's okay to feel that way. Repeat, it's okay to feel that way. If someone is confused, you can say, let's go through it step by step. Repeat, let's go through it step by step. And if you want to express certainty, say, I'm completely sure about this. Repeat, I'm completely sure about this. Let's keep building strong, natural English. In this section, we'll focus on clarity, confidence, and real-life usefulness. These are sentences you'll use in conversations every single day, whether you're at work, at home, or with friends. Sometimes you want to express surprise in a polite and natural way. You can say, I wasn't expecting that at all. This is gentle, realistic, and common. Repeat. I wasn't expecting that at all. If you need someone to slow down while speaking, use this sentence. Could you say that a little more slowly? This is polite and very helpful in real conversations. Repeat. Could you say that a little more slowly? When someone explains something and you want to show that you really understood, say, got it. That's clear now. Repeat. Got it. That's clear now. If you want to check again to avoid mistakes, use just to be sure. Do you mean this? Repeat. Just to be sure. Do you mean this? When someone shares a challenge or a problem, you can respond with, I can imagine how that must feel. This sentence shows empathy. Repeat. I can imagine how that must feel. Let's build a simple conversation using some of these natural sentences. Listen first. A says, I didn't get much sleep last night. B responds, I can imagine how that must feel. A says, my neighbor was making noise until 2 in the morning. B replies, I wasn't expecting that at all. Did you talk to them? A says, not yet, but I will. Now repeat the dialogue slowly with me. A. I didn't get much sleep last night. B. I can imagine how that must feel. A. My neighbor was making noise until 2 in the morning. B. I wasn't expecting that at all. Did you talk to them? A. Not yet, but I will. Good. Now let's continue. When you want someone to repeat something politely, say, would you mind saying that again? Repeat. Would you mind saying that again? If you want to express mild frustration without sounding rude, use. This is a bit more complicated than I thought. Repeat. This is a bit more complicated than I thought. When you want to suggest a new idea, you can say, what if we try it another way? Repeat. What if we try it another way? If someone gives you instructions and you want to confirm, say, so, just to confirm, I should do this first. Right, repeat. Just to confirm, I should do this first. Right. When someone helps you with a difficult task, you can respond with, I really needed that. Thank you. Repeat. I really needed that. Thank you. Let's create a short scene using these sentences. Listen first. A says, I'm confused about this form. B responds, would you mind saying what part is confusing? A says, the instructions aren't very clear. B says, this is a bit more complicated than I thought. A says, what if we try it another way? B replies, sure, just to confirm. You want me to walk you through each step? A says, yes, please. I really needed that. Thank you. Now shadow the conversation with me. A. I'm confused about this form. B. Would you mind saying what part is confusing? A. The instructions aren't very clear. B. This is a bit more complicated than I thought. A. What if we try it another way? B. Sure. Just to confirm. You want me to walk you through each step? A. Yes, please. I really needed that. Thank you. Excellent. Now let's move into a new group showing opinions and expressing yourself naturally. If you want to share your honest thoughts, say, to be honest, I feel differently about that. Repeat, to be honest, I feel differently about that. When you want to make a point softly, Use. Here's what I think. Repeat. Here's what I think. If you want to keep the conversation balanced, use I see your point. But I have another perspective. Repeat. I see your point, but I have another perspective. When you want to express uncertainty, say, I'm still thinking about it. Repeat. I'm still thinking about it. To express confidence, use, I'm pretty sure about this. Repeat, I'm pretty sure about this. Let's build a short conversation combining these sentences. Listen first. A says, I think we should finish this today. B responds, I see your point, but I have another perspective. A says, what do you think? B says, here's what I think. We might do better if we take more time. A answers, I'm still thinking about it. B says, to be honest, I feel differently about that. Now shadow the conversation slowly. A, I think we should finish this today. B, I see your point, but I have another perspective. A, what do you think? B, here's what I think. We might do better if we take more time. A, I'm still thinking about it. B, to be honest, I feel differently about that. Good, now let's continue. When you want to describe something you don't fully understand, use this sentence, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Repeat, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. If someone shares very good news, respond with, I'm genuinely happy for you. Repeat, I'm genuinely happy for you. When something is annoying but not serious, say, it's nothing major. Just a little frustrating. Repeat, nothing major. Just a little frustrating. If you're waiting for something important, you can say, I'm really hoping for good news. Repeat, I'm really hoping for good news. When someone apologizes to you, a natural response is, thanks for letting me know. It's okay. Repeat, thanks for letting me know. It's okay. Let's create another natural mini dialogue. A says, sorry for sending the files so late. B responds, thanks for letting me know. It's okay. A says, I had a few computer issues. B says, nothing major, just a little frustrating. Right. A replies, yes. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened. B says, I'm genuinely happy for you that things are fixed now. Now shadow the conversation with me. A, sorry for sending the files so late. B, thanks for letting me know. It's okay. A, I had a few computer issues. B, nothing major, just a little frustrating. Or right. A, yes. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened. B, I'm genuinely happy for you that things are fixed now. Excellent. Let's keep the flow going. Sometimes you want to express that you are unsure but willing to try. Use this sentence, I can give it a try. Repeat, I can give it a try. If you want to describe something that surprised you in a good way, say, that turned out better than expected. Repeat, that turned out better than expected. When making plans, you can say, let's see what happens. Repeat, let's see what happens. If someone is worried, you can comfort them with, you're not alone. I'm here with you. Repeat, you're not alone. I'm here with you. If you want to encourage someone who is afraid of making mistakes, say, it's okay to get things wrong. That's how we learn. Repeat. It's okay to get things wrong. That's how we learn. Let's continue building your English fluency with sentences that feel real, modern, and natural. These expressions help you sound clear, confident, and emotionally connected when speaking with anyone, anywhere. When you want to reassure someone who feels uncertain, you can say, "You're doing better than you think." This is warm, supportive, and very natural. Repeat, "You're doing better than you think." If you want to politely suggest taking a break, use this sentence. "Maybe we should take a short break and come back to it." Repeat, "Maybe we should take a short break and come back to it." When someone asks for your help and you want to accept politely, say, "I'd be happy to help." Repeat, "I'd be happy to help." If you want someone to share more details, use, "Can you walk me through it?" Repeat, "Can you walk me through it?" When something is confusing at first, but becomes clear later, say, "Now it makes more sense." Repeat, "Now it makes more sense." Let's put these sentences into a natural conversation. Listen carefully. A says, "I'm stuck on this problem." B responds, "Can you walk me through it?" A explains, "I've tried everything, but it's still not working." B says, "Maybe we should take a short break and come back to it." A replies, "That might help." B adds, "You're doing better than you think." Now shadow the dialogue with me. A, "I'm stuck on this problem." B, "Can you walk me through it?" A, "I've tried everything, but it's still not working." B, "Maybe we should take a short break and come back to it." A, "That might help." B, "You're doing better than you think." Great. Now let's continue with sentences that help you manage your day and communicate clearly. A realistic sentence for planning is, "I'll do it as soon as I have a moment." Repeat, "I'll do it as soon as I have a moment." When you want to express slight hesitation, say, "I'm not sure if this is the right time." Repeat, "I'm not sure if this is the right time." If something is urgent, you can use, "We need to take care of this quickly." Repeat, "We need to take care of this quickly." When someone offers useful advice, respond with, "I'll keep that in mind." Repeat, "I'll keep that in mind." If you want to agree politely, use, "That sounds reasonable." Repeat, "That sounds reasonable." Let's build a conversation using these. A says, "Do you think we should send this now?" B responds, "I'm not sure if this is the right time." A says, "But we need to take care of this quickly." B replies, "That sounds reasonable." "I'll do it as soon as I have a moment." A says, "Thanks. I'll keep that in mind." Now shadow the conversation with me. A, "Do you think we should send this now?" B, "I'm not sure if this is the right time." A, "But we need to take care of this quickly." B, "That sounds reasonable." "I'll do it as soon as I have a moment." A, "Thanks. I'll keep that in mind." Good. Now let's move on to sentences expressing emotions, comfort, and reassurance. When someone is stressed, a calming sentence is, "Take your time. No need to rush." Repeat, "Take your time. No need to rush." If someone blames themselves, comfort them with, "Be kind to yourself. You're doing your best." Repeat, Be kind to yourself. You're doing your best. When encouraging someone who feels overwhelmed, say, focus on one thing at a time. Repeat, focus on one thing at a time. If you want to show empathy when someone is worried, use, it's completely understandable to feel that way. Repeat, it's completely understandable to feel that way. When you want to motivate someone gently, say, you'll get through this. Just stay steady. Repeat, you'll get through this. Just stay steady. Let's put these into a conversation. A says, I feel overwhelmed with everything going on. B responds, it's completely understandable to feel that way. A says, I don't know where to start. B says, focus on one thing at a time. A says, I'm trying. B says, take your time. No need to rush. A says, thanks. I needed that. B replies, be kind to yourself. You're doing your best. Now shadow the conversation with me. A, I feel overwhelmed with everything going on. B, it's completely understandable to feel that way. A, I don't know where to start. B, focus on one thing at a time. A, I'm trying. B, take your time. No need to rush. A, thanks. I needed that. B, be kind to yourself. You're doing your best. Well done. Let's shift now to sentences for work and productivity. When you want to ask for an update, you can say, any progress on your side? Repeat, any progress on your side. If you want to offer support, use, let me know if you need another pair of hands. Repeat, let me know if you need another pair of hands. When something is too much, you can say, this is a lot to handle at once. Repeat, this is a lot to handle at once. If you want to express responsibility, use, I'll make sure it gets done. Repeat, I'll make sure it gets done. When scheduling or planning, a helpful sentence is, we should set a clear timeline. Repeat, we should set a clear timeline. Let's create a conversation with these new sentences. A says, how's your part coming along? B responds, any progress on your side? A says, not much. This is a lot to handle at once. B replies, let me know if you need another pair of hands. A says, I appreciate that. I'll make sure it gets done. B says, great. We should set a clear timeline. Now shadow the conversation. A, how's your part coming along? B, any progress on your side? A, not much. This is a lot to handle at once. B, let me know if you need another pair of hands. A, I appreciate that. I'll make sure it gets done. B, great. We should set a clear timeline. Very good. Now, let's continue with realistic sentences for personal growth and self-reflection. When trying something new, say, I'm learning as I go. Repeat, I'm learning as I go. If you want to talk about improving a skill, use, I can see myself getting better over time. Repeat, I can see myself getting better over time. When admitting a mistake, you can say, I didn't handle that as well as I could have. Repeat, I didn't handle that as well as I could have. If you want to express hope, use, I'm optimistic about what's ahead. Repeat, I'm optimistic about what's ahead. When describing your effort, say, I'm giving it my full attention. Repeat, I'm giving it my full attention. Let's place these into a natural dialogue. A says, "How's your new project going?" B responds, "I'm learning as I go." A says, "That's good. Do you feel confident?" B replies, "I can see myself getting better over time." A says, "That's great to hear." B adds, "I'm optimistic about what's ahead." Now shadow the conversation. A, "How's your new project going?" B, "I'm learning as I go." A, "That's good. Do you feel confident?" B, "I can see myself getting better over time." A, "That's great to hear." B, "I'm optimistic about what's ahead." Let's keep building your confidence with more natural English sentences. Everything you're learning here is designed to sound real, modern, and used by native speakers every single day. Remember to repeat whenever you can. Speaking out loud trains your mouth, your rhythm, and your confidence. Let's begin with sentences you can use when things don't go as planned. These are helpful in conversations, problem solving, and expressing yourself sincerely. When something doesn't work the way you hoped, you can say, "That didn't turn out the way I expected." Repeat, "That didn't turn out the way I expected." If you want to express a small disappointment without sounding dramatic, use "I was hoping for a better outcome." Repeat, "I was hoping for a better outcome." When someone apologizes to you and you want to show understanding, say, "Don't worry about it. These things happen." Repeat, "Don't worry about it. These things happen." If you want to stay positive, you can say, "Let's try again with a fresh mindset." Repeat, "Let's try again with a fresh mindset." When you need to change the plan, a natural sentence is, "We might need to adjust our approach." Repeat, "We might need to adjust our approach." Let's place these into a gentle, realistic conversation. Listen first. A says, "The file didn't save properly." B responds, "That didn't turn out the way I expected." A says, "I was hoping for a better outcome." B replies, "Don't worry about it. These things happen." A says, "Should we try again?" B responds, "Yes. Let's try again with a fresh mindset. We might need to adjust our approach." Now shadow the dialogue slowly. A, "The file didn't save properly." B, "That didn't turn out the way I expected." A, "I was hoping for a better outcome." B, "Don't worry about it. These things happen." A, "Should we try again?" B, "Yes. Let's try again with a fresh mindset. We might need to adjust our approach." Excellent. Now let's move to sentences that help you stay organized, focused, and clear. When planning, say, "Let's set a goal we can actually reach." Repeat, "Let's set a goal we can actually reach." If you want to express preparation, use "I'm getting everything ready." Repeat, "I'm getting everything ready." When something is uncertain, you can say, "We'll know more once we have all the details." Repeat, "We'll know more once we have all the details." If someone asks how long something will take, say, "It shouldn't take too long." Repeat, "It shouldn't take too long." When you want to check timing, ask, "How much time do we have left?" Repeat, "How much time do we have left?" Let's turn these into a mini dialogue. A says, "Are we ready to start?" B responds, "I'm getting everything ready." A says, How much time do we have left? B replies. Not much, but it shouldn't take too long, A says. Okay, let's set a goal we can actually reach, B says. We'll know more once we have all the details. Now shadow the dialogue. A. Are we ready to start? B. I'm getting everything ready. A. How much time do we have left? B. Not much, but it shouldn't take too long. A. Okay, let's set a goal we can actually reach. B. We'll know more once we have all the details. Very good. Now let's practice sentences expressing curiosity, interest, and deeper understanding. When someone shares information and you want more clarity, say, "Can you give me an example?" Repeat, "Can you give me an example?" If you want someone to continue telling their story, use "I'm listening." Go on, repeat, "I'm listening." Go on. When you want to check the reason behind something, say, "What made you decide that?" Repeat, "What made you decide that?" If you hear something surprising but interesting, say, "That's quite a story." Repeat, "That's quite a story." When someone shares personal feelings, you can react with, "I appreciate you sharing that with me." Repeat, "I appreciate you sharing that with me." Now let's create a natural conversation with these sentences. A says, "I changed my plans for next month." B responds, "What made you decide that?" A says, "A few things happened recently." B replies, "I'm listening." Go on. A says, "I felt like I needed a break from everything." B responds, "That's quite a story." "I appreciate you sharing that with me." Now shadow it with me. A. I changed my plans for next month. B. What made you decide that? A. A few things happened recently. B. I'm listening. Go on. A. I felt like I needed a break from everything. B. That's quite a story. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Excellent. Let's continue. Now let's focus on expressing appreciation, gratitude, and respect politely. When someone supports you, say, "Your support means a lot to me." Repeat, "Your support means a lot to me." If you want to thank someone for their effort, use "I really value the time you spent on this." Repeat, "I really value the time you spent on this." When someone gives feedback, respond with "Thanks for your input." "I'll think about it." Repeat, "Thanks for your input." "I'll think about it." If you want to acknowledge someone's kindness, say, "That was very thoughtful of you." Repeat, "That was very thoughtful of you." When you appreciate someone's patience, use "Thanks for being patient with me." Repeat, "Thanks for being patient with me." Let's turn these into a conversation. A says, "I reviewed your draft again." B responds, "I really value the time you spent on this." A says, "No problem. Your support means a lot to me." B says, "Thanks for your input. I'll think about it." A replies, "Of course. That was very thoughtful of you." B says, "Thanks for being patient with me. Now shadow it." A. I reviewed your draft again. B. I really value the time you spent on this. A. No problem. Your support means a lot to me. B. Thanks for your input. I'll think about it. A. Of course. That was very thoughtful of you. B. Thanks for being patient with me. Great! Now let's build sentences about making decisions. When trying to choose between options, say, I need a moment to think this through. Repeat. I need a moment to think this through. If you want to make a confident choice, use I'm going with this one. Repeat. I'm going with this one. When you want to double-check information, say, let me make sure I understand this correctly. Repeat. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. If you are leaning toward something but not fully certain, say, I'm leaning toward this option. Repeat. I'm leaning toward this option. When a choice becomes obvious, use, that makes the decision much easier. Repeat. That makes the decision much easier. Let's turn these into a mini dialogue. A says, which design do you prefer? B responds, I need a moment to think this through. A says, sure, take your time. B replies, I'm leaning toward this option. A says, interesting. Why that one? B says, it feels clearer. That makes the decision much easier. A replies, great. I'm going with this one too. Now shadow it. A, which design do you prefer? B, I need a moment to think this through. A, sure, take your time. B, I'm leaning toward this option. A, interesting. Why that one? B, it feels clearer. That makes the decision much easier. A, great. I'm going with this one too. Let's continue building your fluency with more real, useful English sentences that native speakers use every day. These sentences help you express your thoughts clearly, respond naturally, and engage confidently in any situation. Remember to repeat aloud whenever possible. The more you speak, the more automatic your English becomes. Let's begin with expressions you can use when dealing with challenges or unexpected situations. When something goes wrong and you want to stay calm, you can say, let's take a moment and figure this out. Repeat. Let's take a moment and figure this out. If you're unsure about what to do next, use, I'm not completely sure what the best option is. Repeat, I'm not completely sure what the best option is. When something is unclear, say, I'm having trouble understanding this part. Repeat, I'm having trouble understanding this part. When the situation improves, you can say, things are starting to look better. Repeat, things are starting to look better. If you want to encourage someone who's frustrated, say, you're handling this better than you realize. Repeat, you're handling this better than you realize. Now, let's build a short conversation using these sentences. A says, I'm having trouble understanding this part. B responds, let's take a moment and figure this out. A says, I'm not completely sure what the best option is. B says, it's okay. Things are starting to look better. A replies, maybe, but I'm still frustrated. B says, you're handling this better than you realize. Now shadow the conversation slowly. A, I'm having trouble understanding this part. B, let's take a moment and figure this out. A, I'm not completely sure what the best option is. B, it's okay. Things are starting to look better. A, maybe, but I'm still frustrated. B, you're handling this better than you realize. Excellent. Now, let's continue with sentences that help you give feedback politely and professionally. When you want to comment gently, use, here's something that could make it even better. Repeat, Here's something that could make it even better. If you want to show appreciation before giving feedback, say, "You did a good job, and I have a few suggestions." Repeat, "You did a good job, and I have a few suggestions." When you want to recommend a change, say, "Maybe consider adjusting this part." Repeat, "Maybe consider adjusting this part." If you agree with someone's idea, say, "That's a valuable point." Repeat, "That's a valuable point." When you want to close the conversation politely, use "Thanks for discussing this with me." Repeat, "Thanks for discussing this with me." Let's create a smooth, realistic dialogue. A says, "What do you think about this version?" B responds, "You did a good job, and I have a few suggestions." A says, "Sure. What do you recommend?" B replies, "Maybe consider adjusting this part." A says, "That's a valuable point." B adds, "Here's something that could make it even better." A replies, "Thanks for discussing this with me." Now shadow the dialogue. A, "What do you think about this version?" B, "You did a good job, and I have a few suggestions." A, "Sure. What do you recommend?" B, "Maybe consider adjusting this part." A, "That's a valuable point." B, "Here's something that could make it even better." A, "Thanks for discussing this with me." Great! Let's move to sentences expressing expectations, preparation, and planning. When preparing for something important, say, "I want to make sure I'm fully prepared." Repeat, "I want to make sure I'm fully prepared." If you expect something to happen, use, "I have a feeling this will turn out well." Repeat, "I have a feeling this will turn out well." When something is uncertain, say, "Let's see how things develop." Repeat, "Let's see how things develop." If you want to say you're ready, use "I'm all set whenever you are." Repeat, "I'm all set whenever you are." When you need additional time, say, "Give me a little more time to think this through." Repeat, "Give me a little more time to think this through." Let's build these into a mini dialogue. A says, "Are you ready for tomorrow?" B responds, "I want to make sure I'm fully prepared." A says, "Don't stress too much. I have a feeling this will turn out well." B replies, "Let's see how things develop." A says, "I'm all set whenever you are." B responds, "Give me a little more time to think this through." Shadow the conversation with me. A, "Are you ready for tomorrow?" B, "I want to make sure I'm fully prepared." A, "Don't stress too much. I have a feeling this will turn out well." B, "Let's see how things develop." A, "I'm all set whenever you are." B, "Give me a little more time to think this through." Excellent. Now let's expand into sentences for social interactions and polite communication. When you want to start a conversation politely, say, "Do you have a moment to talk?" Repeat, "Do you have a moment to talk?" If someone is busy and you want to respect their time, use "I don't want to interrupt if you're in the middle of something." Repeat, "I don't want to interrupt if you're in the middle of something." When asking for someone's opinion, say, "I'd really like to hear what you think." Repeat, "I'd really like to hear what you think." If someone shares something interesting, respond with, "That's a great insight." Repeat, "That's a great insight." When you want to end a conversation politely, say, "Let me know if you need anything else." Repeat, "Let me know if you need anything else." Let's create a social conversation. A says, "Do you have a moment to talk?" B responds, "Sure. What's up?" A says, "I'd really like to hear what you think about this idea." B replies, "That's a great insight." A says, "Thanks. I didn't want to interrupt if you're in the middle of something." B says, "Not at all. Let me know if you need anything else." Now shadow the dialogue. A, "Do you have a moment to talk?" B, "Sure. What's up?" A, "I'd really like to hear what you think about this idea." B, "That's a great insight." A, "Thanks. I didn't want to interrupt if you're in the middle of something." B, "Not at all. Let me know if you need anything else." Great. Now let's build more sentences for emotional expression and self-awareness. When you feel unsure about something, say, "I'm trying to understand how I feel about it." Repeat, "I'm trying to understand how I feel about it." When describing a stressful moment, say, "It's been a long day, but I'm managing." Repeat, "It's been a long day, but I'm managing." When you want to express relief, use, "I feel much lighter now." Repeat, "I feel much lighter now." If you want to show emotional strength, say, "I'm learning to stay calm even when things get difficult." Repeat, "I'm learning to stay calm even when things get difficult." When something gives you hope, say, "This gives me a little more confidence." Repeat, "This gives me a little more confidence." Let's turn these into a soft, emotional conversation. A says, "How are you feeling about everything?" B responds, "I'm trying to understand how I feel about it." A says, "That sounds tough." B replies, "It's been a long day, but I'm managing." A says, "I'm glad to hear that." B responds, "I feel much lighter now." A says, "You seem stronger." B replies, "I'm learning to stay calm even when things get difficult. This gives me a little more confidence." Now shadow it slowly. A, "How are you feeling about everything?" B, "I'm trying to understand how I feel about it." A, "That sounds tough." B, "It's been a long day, but I'm managing." A, "I'm glad to hear that." B, "I feel much lighter now." A, "You seem stronger." B, "I'm learning to stay calm even when things get difficult. This gives me a little more confidence." Let's continue your journey toward confident, natural English. In this section, we'll learn more sentences that help you navigate real-life situations with clarity, politeness, and emotional intelligence. These expressions will help you sound thoughtful, mature, and genuinely fluent when speaking with others. Let's begin with sentences that help you manage stress, energy, and daily mood. When you feel mentally tired, you can say, "My mind feels a little overloaded today." Repeat, "My mind feels a little overloaded today." If you feel physically exhausted, use, "I need a moment to recharge." Repeat, "I need a moment to recharge." When something calms you down, say, "This helps me breathe easier." Repeat, "This helps me breathe easier." If you want to give yourself emotional space, use, "I'm taking things one moment at a time." Repeat, "I'm taking things one moment at a time." When something finally becomes clearer after confusion. Say, it's starting to click now. Repeat, it's starting to click now. Let's place these into a soft, natural conversation. A says, I'm not myself today. B responds, why? What's going on? A says, my mind feels a little overloaded today. B replies, I get that. I need a moment to recharge sometimes too. A says, talking helps. This helps me breathe easier. B responds, that's good. Just take things one moment at a time. A replies, thanks. It's starting to click now. Now shadow the conversation slowly. A, I'm not myself today. B, why? What's going on? A, my mind feels a little overloaded today. B, I get that. I need a moment to recharge sometimes too. A, talking helps. This helps me breathe easier. B, that's good. Just take things one moment at a time. A, thanks. It's starting to click now. Great. Now let's continue with sentences you can use to express opinions, beliefs, and perspectives with confidence and respect. When sharing a gentle opinion, say, from my point of view, it seems different. Repeat. From my point of view, it seems different. If you want to show that you respect someone's opinion, even if you disagree, use I respect that. Even though I see it differently. Repeat. I respect that. Even though I see it differently. When you want to introduce your perspective, say, here's how I understand it. Repeat. Here's how I understand it. If you want to soften your criticism, say, I might be wrong, but here's what I noticed. Repeat. I might be wrong, but here's what I noticed. When appreciating someone's viewpoint, use. That's an interesting way to look at it. Repeat. That's an interesting way to look at it. Let's build these into a conversation. A says, I think the project should move faster. B responds, that's an interesting way to look at it. A says, do you disagree? B replies, from my point of view, it seems different. A asks, how so? B says, here's how I understand it. We need more data before rushing. A responds, I respect that. Even though I see it differently. B says, I might be wrong, but here's what I noticed. Now shadow the dialogue. A, I think the project should move faster. B, that's an interesting way to look at it. A, do you disagree? B, from my point of view, it seems different. A, how so? B, here's how I understand it. We need more data before rushing. A, I respect that, even though I see it differently. B, I might be wrong, but here's what I noticed. Excellent. Now let's move to sentences for describing personal experiences and day-to-day life. When something unexpected changed your plans, say, my plans changed at the last minute. Repeat. My plans changed at the last minute. If something took longer than expected, use it dragged on longer than I thought. Repeat. It dragged on longer than I thought. If you enjoyed something a lot, say, I really enjoyed every bit of it. Repeat. I really enjoyed every bit of it. When you want to compliment someone's company, say, I always feel comfortable around you. Repeat. I always feel comfortable around you. When describing a nice moment, use, it was simple, but really meaningful. Repeat. It was simple, but really meaningful. Now let's use these in a conversation. A says, "How was your weekend?" B responds, "My plans changed at the last minute." A says, "Oh no, did everything work out?" B replies, "Yes, but it dragged on longer than I thought." A says, "Did you still have a good time?" B says, "Yes, I really enjoyed every bit of it." A says, "That's great." B replies, "It was simple, but really meaningful." Now shadow the conversation. A, "How was your weekend?" B, "My plans changed at the last minute." A, "Oh no, did everything work out?" B, "Yes, but it dragged on longer than I thought." A, "Did you still have a good time?" B, "Yes, I really enjoyed every bit of it." A, "That's great." B, "It was simple, but really meaningful." Perfect. Now let's continue with sentences for showing care, concern, and emotional support. When you want to check on someone gently, say, "Is everything okay with you lately?" Repeat, "Is everything okay with you lately?" When someone looks tired or sad, ask, "Do you want to talk about it?" Repeat, "Do you want to talk about it?" When someone feels alone, say, "You're not facing this by yourself." Repeat, "You're not facing this by yourself." If someone needs comfort, use "I'm here." If you need someone to listen, repeat, "I'm here if you need someone to listen." When someone is struggling, say, "I believe you're stronger than this challenge." Repeat, "I believe you're stronger than this challenge." Let's create a warm, emotional conversation. A says, "You seem quieter these days." B responds, "I've been going through a lot." A says, "Is everything okay with you lately?" B replies, "I'm not sure." A says, "Do you want to talk about it?" B says, "Maybe later." A responds, "You're not facing this by yourself. I'm here if you need someone to listen." B replies, "Thank you. I believe I'm stronger than this challenge." Now shadow the conversation slowly. A, "You seem quieter these days." B, "I've been going through a lot." A, "Is everything okay with you lately?" B, "I'm not sure." A, "Do you want to talk about it?" B, "Maybe later." A, "You're not facing this by yourself. I'm here if you need someone to listen." B, "Thank you. I believe I'm stronger than this challenge." Excellent. Let's move to sentences that help you express progress, growth, and improvement. When you see improvement in yourself, say, "I can tell I'm getting better at this." Repeat, "I can tell I'm getting better at this." If you feel motivated, use "I feel more determined than ever." Repeat, "I feel more determined than ever." When something stays difficult, but you keep going, say, "It's still challenging, but I'm not giving up." Repeat, "It's still challenging, but I'm not giving up." When you learn something valuable, say, "That taught me something important." Repeat, "That taught me something important." If you want to celebrate small progress, use "It may be small, but it's still progress." Repeat, "It may be small, but it's still progress." Let's build a motivation-based conversation. A says, "You seem more confident lately." B responds, "I can tell I'm getting better at this." A says, "That's awesome." B replies, "I feel more determined than ever." A says, "Is everything easy now?" B answers, "Not at all. It's still challenging, but I'm not giving up." A says, "Good. It may be small, but it's still progress." B replies, "Yes, that taught me something important. Now shadow the dialogue. A. You seem more confident lately. B. I can tell I'm getting better at this. A. That's awesome. B. I feel more determined than ever. A. Is everything easy now? B. Not at all. It's still challenging, but I'm not giving up. A. Good. It may be small, but it's still progress. B. Yes. That taught me something important. Let's continue building your English fluency with expressions that feel truly alive and natural. These sentences prepare you for daily conversations, emotional moments, professional situations, and everything in between. Keep repeating aloud whenever possible to strengthen your pronunciation and confidence. Let's begin with sentences for describing your day, your routines, and your habits. When you want to describe a busy schedule, you can say, My day has been non-stop from the moment I woke up. Repeat. My day has been non-stop from the moment I woke up. If you want to talk about a slow, relaxed day, use today has been calm and easy. Repeat. Today has been calm and easy. When discussing productivity, say, I finally crossed everything off my list. Repeat. I finally crossed everything off my list. If you want to express that you didn't do much, you can say, I kept things simple today. Repeat. I kept things simple today. And when you want to describe a moment of reflection, say, I took some time to clear my thoughts. Repeat. I took some time to clear my thoughts. Let's place these into a natural conversation. A says, How was your day? B responds, My day has been non-stop from the moment I woke up. A says, Wow, that sounds tiring. B replies, It was, but I finally crossed everything off my list. A asks, What about now? B says, Now things are calm. I took some time to clear my thoughts. A responds, That sounds nice. I kept things simple today. Now shadow the conversation slowly. A. How was your day? B. My day has been non-stop from the moment I woke up. A. Wow, that sounds tiring. B. It was, but I finally crossed everything off my list. A. What about now? B. Now things are calm. I took some time to clear my thoughts. A. That sounds nice. I kept things simple today. Great. Now let's move to social and friendly interactions, the everyday conversations that make relationships stronger. When you want to reconnect with someone, say, It's been a while. How have you been? Repeat, It's been a while. How have you been? If someone tells you something interesting, use, That's actually really cool. Repeat, That's actually really cool. When someone shares a funny moment, you can react with, I can't stop laughing at that. Repeat, I can't stop laughing at that. When ending a friendly chat, say, Let's talk again soon. Repeat, Let's talk again soon. When you want to show appreciation for someone's friendship, say, I'm glad we stayed in touch all this time. Repeat, I'm glad we stayed in touch all this time. Now let's create a smooth conversation. A says, It's been a while. How have you been? B responds, I've been great. Just busy. A says, Same here. Life gets crazy sometimes. B replies, I know. Right. A says, I saw your photos from last week. They were amazing. B responds, Thanks. That's actually really cool to hear, A says. We should meet up soon, B replies. Definitely. Let's talk again soon, A adds. I'm glad we stayed in touch all this time. Now shadow it. A, it's been a while. How have you been? B, I've been great, just busy. A, same here. Life gets crazy sometimes. B, I know, right. A, I saw your photos from last week. They were amazing. B, thanks. That's actually really cool to hear. A, we should meet up soon. B, definitely. Let's talk again soon. A, I'm glad we stayed in touch all this time. Excellent. Now let's practice sentences for expressing your needs, preferences, and boundaries. When you're tired and need space, say, I just need a bit of quiet time. Repeat, I just need a bit of quiet time. If something matters to you, use, this is really important to me. Repeat, this is really important to me. When someone asks your preference, say, I prefer something simple and comfortable. Repeat, I prefer something simple and comfortable. If you want to set a boundary politely, use, I'm not comfortable with that. Repeat, I'm not comfortable with that. And when you want to express a small request, say, can we slow things down a little? Repeat, can we slow things down a little? Let's build a natural conversation using these. A says, do you want to go out tonight? B responds, I prefer something simple and comfortable. A says, like staying in. B replies, yes, I just need a bit of quiet time. A says, no problem, we can slow things down a little. B responds, thanks. This is really important to me. A says, of course. I understand. B replies, I'm not comfortable with anything loud tonight. Now shadow the dialogue. A, do you want to go out tonight? B, I prefer something simple and comfortable. A, like staying in. B, yes, I just need a bit of quiet time. A, no problem, we can slow things down a little. B, thanks. This is really important to me. A, of course, I understand. B, I'm not comfortable with anything loud tonight. Great. Now let's move to sentences you can use when reflecting on life, goals, and personal growth. When thinking about the future, say, I'm trying to picture where I want to be. Repeat, I'm trying to picture where I want to be. If you want to talk about long-term goals, use, I'm working towards something meaningful. Repeat, I'm working towards something meaningful. When thinking about mistakes, say, I learned a lot from what happened. Repeat, I learned a lot from what happened. To express focus, use, I'm staying committed to my goals. Repeat, I'm staying committed to my goals. And when talking about your progress, say, I'm proud of the changes I'm making. Repeat, I'm proud of the changes I'm making. Let's build these into a meaningful conversation. A says, you seem different lately. B responds, I'm trying to picture where I want to be. A says, that sounds deep. B replies, I'm working towards something meaningful. A says, what inspired that? B responds, I learned a lot from what happened last year. A says, I understand. B replies, I'm staying committed to my goals, and I'm proud of the changes I'm making. Now shadow it slowly. A, you seem different lately. B, I'm trying to picture where I want to be. A, that sounds deep. B, I'm working towards something meaningful. A. What inspired that? B. I learned a lot from what happened last year. A. I understand. B. I'm staying committed to my goals, and I'm proud of the changes I'm making. Excellent. Now let's practice sentences used in practical, everyday tasks. When picking up an item, say, I need to grab a few things from the store. Repeat, I need to grab a few things from the store. If you have simple errands, use, I have a couple of things to take care of. Repeat, I have a couple of things to take care of. When inviting someone casually, say, want to join me for a quick break. Repeat, want to join me for a quick break. If you want to acknowledge someone's time, say, thanks for sticking around with me. Repeat, thanks for sticking around with me. And when you want someone to wait, use, give me just a moment. Repeat, give me just a moment. Let's create a short, realistic dialogue. A says, what are you doing now? B responds, I need to grab a few things from the store. A says, want some company? B replies, sure. Want to join me for a quick break? A says, I have a couple of things to take care of first. B responds, no problem. Give me just a moment. A says, thanks for sticking around with me. Now shadow the conversation. A, what are you doing now? B, I need to grab a few things from the store. A, want some company? B, sure. Want to join me for a quick break? A, I have a couple of things to take care of first. B, no problem. Give me just a moment. A, thanks for sticking around with me. Let's continue building your fluency with more real, everyday English. In this section, you'll learn sentences used in working environments, daily responsibilities, and meaningful interactions. These expressions will help you sound professional, calm, and confident in any situation. Let's begin with workplace English, the kind you can use in meetings, emails, conversations, or teamwork. When you want to begin a work discussion politely, say, let's go over the main points together. Repeat, let's go over the main points together. If you need clarification, use, can you walk me through that again? Repeat, can you walk me through that again? When you understand something clearly, say, everything makes sense now. Repeat, everything makes sense now. If you're still unsure, use, I'm not fully clear on that yet. Repeat, I'm not fully clear on that yet. When you need more time, say, I'll need a bit more time to finish this. Repeat, I'll need a bit more time to finish this. Let's build a natural conversation in a work setting. A says, are we ready to start? B responds, yes. Let's go over the main points together. A says, here's the first issue. B replies, can you walk me through that again? A explains, after that, everything should be easier. B says, okay, everything makes sense now. A asks, can you finish it today? B responds, I'm not fully clear on that yet. I'll need a bit more time to finish this. Now shadow the dialogue slowly. A, are we ready to start? B, yes. Let's go over the main points together. A, here's the first issue. B, can you walk me through that again? A, after that, everything should be easier. B, okay, everything makes sense now. A, can you finish it today? B, I'm not fully clear on that yet. I'll need a bit more time to finish this. Excellent. Now let's move to sentences that help you talk about responsibilities and commitments. When you want to show responsibility, say, I'll make sure everything is done properly. Repeat, I'll make sure everything is done properly. If you want to reassure others, use, you can count on me to handle this. Repeat, you can count on me to handle this. When needing to reschedule, say, can we move this to a later time? Repeat, can we move this to a later time? If you want to express reliability, use I'll keep you updated as things progress. Repeat, I'll keep you updated as things progress. When confirming an agreement, say, we're on the same page. Repeat, we're on the same page. Now let's place them in a natural discussion. A says, can you take care of the report? B responds, I'll make sure everything is done properly. A says, great, I trust you. B replies, you can count on me to handle this. A says, let me know if something changes. B responds, I'll keep you updated as things progress. A says, good, we're on the same page. B replies, perfect, now shadow it. A, can you take care of the report? B, I'll make sure everything is done properly. A, great, I trust you. B, you can count on me to handle this. A, let me know if something changes. B, I'll keep you updated as things progress. A, good, we're on the same page. B, perfect. Great job. Now let's move to English used in daily life planning schedules, goals, and personal routines. When planning your day, say, I'm trying to organize my schedule better. Repeat, I'm trying to organize my schedule better. If someone asks your availability, use I'm free in the afternoon. Repeat, I'm free in the afternoon. When you're fully occupied, say, my day is pretty packed. Repeat, my day is pretty packed. When expecting to finish something soon, say, I should be done in a couple of hours. Repeat, I should be done in a couple of hours. And when you want to set a time frame, say, let's aim for tomorrow. Repeat, let's aim for tomorrow. Now let's build a scheduling conversation. A says, when can we meet? B responds, I'm free in the afternoon. A asks, how's your morning? B replies, my day is pretty packed. A says, when will you be done? B responds, I should be done in a couple of hours. A says, okay, let's aim for tomorrow. B replies, works for me. Now shadow it slowly. A, when can we meet? B, I'm free in the afternoon. A, how's your morning? B, my day is pretty packed. A, when will you be done? B, I should be done in a couple of hours. A, okay, let's aim for tomorrow. B, works for me. Let's move on to emotionally supportive language sentences used to comfort, understand, and encourage others. When someone feels stressed, say, you're carrying a lot, and it's okay to slow down. Repeat, you're carrying a lot, and it's okay to slow down. When someone doubts themselves, say, I believe you're more capable than you think. Repeat, I believe you're more capable than you think. When someone feels upset, use, your feelings are valid, don't ignore them. Repeat, your feelings are valid, don't ignore them. If someone needs reassurance, say, I'm here for you. And I'm not going anywhere. Repeat, I'm here for you, and I'm not going anywhere. When encouraging someone to move forward, use take your time, but don't lose your direction. Repeat, take your time, but don't lose your direction. Now let's put these into an emotional yet calm conversation. A says, I feel overwhelmed lately. B responds, you're carrying a lot, and it's okay to slow down. A says, I'm not sure I can handle everything. B replies, I believe you're more capable than you think. A says, some days feel impossible. B responds, your feelings are valid. Don't ignore them. A says, I just don't want to fall behind. B replies, take your time, but don't lose your direction. I'm here for you, and I'm not going anywhere. Now shadow the dialogue. A, I feel overwhelmed lately. B, you're carrying a lot, and it's okay to slow down. A, I'm not sure I can handle everything. B, I believe you're more capable than you think. A, some days feel impossible. B, your feelings are valid. Don't ignore them. A, I just don't want to fall behind. B, take your time, but don't lose your direction. I'm here for you, and I'm not going anywhere. Great. Now let's learn English for showing appreciation, warmth, and genuine interest. When thanking someone deeply, say, it means a lot that you're here. Repeat, it means a lot that you're here. When someone supports you, say, your support makes a real difference. Repeat, your support makes a real difference. When someone spends time with you, use, I appreciate you taking the time. Repeat, I appreciate you taking the time. When someone gives good advice, say, what you said really helped me think clearly. Repeat, what you said really helped me think clearly. And when you want to express gratitude, use, I'm grateful for your presence in my life. Repeat, I'm grateful for your presence in my life. Let's build a gentle conversation. A says, thanks for meeting me today. B responds, I appreciate you taking the time. A says, I needed someone to talk to. B replies, it means a lot that you're here. A says, your advice always helps. B responds, I'm glad. What you said really helped me think clearly too. A says, I'm grateful for your presence in my life. Now shadow the conversation slowly. A, thanks for meeting me today. B, I appreciate you taking the time. A, I needed someone to talk to. B, it means a lot that you're here. A, your advice always helps. B, I'm glad. What you said really helped me think clearly too. A, I'm grateful for your presence in my life. Now let's continue with sentences related to progress, personal development, and self-improvement. When you feel yourself growing, say, I can see a real difference in myself. Repeat, I can see a real difference in myself. When learning something new, use, I'm getting more confident with every step. Repeat, I'm getting more confident with every step. When practicing new skills, say, I'm slowly building a stronger foundation. Repeat, I'm slowly building a stronger foundation. If you feel motivated, use, I feel inspired to keep improving. Repeat, I feel inspired to keep improving. when reflecting on your journey. Say, every effort I make is shaping me into a better version of myself. Repeat. Every effort I make is shaping me into a better version of myself. Let's use these in a reflective conversation. A says, "You seem more motivated these days." B responds, "I can see a real difference in myself." A says, "That's great. What changed?" B replies, "I'm getting more confident with every step." A asks, "Is it easy?" B answers, "Not really. I'm slowly building a stronger foundation." A says, "That's impressive." B responds, "I feel inspired to keep improving. Every effort I make is shaping me into a better version of myself." Now shadow it. A, "You seem more motivated these days." B, "I can see a real difference in myself." A, "That's great. What changed?" B, "I'm getting more confident with every step." A, "Is it easy?" B, "Not really. I'm slowly building a stronger foundation." A, "That's impressive." B, "I feel inspired to keep improving. Every effort I make is shaping me into a better version of myself." Let's continue strengthening your English with more natural, real-life expressions that help you speak clearly, confidently, and emotionally. In this section, we'll focus on communication during challenges, decision-making, personal conversations, and thoughtful interactions. Keep shadowing aloud, because your voice is the key to fluency. Let's begin with sentences that help you express your thoughts when making decisions. When you need time to think, say, "I need a moment to weigh my options." Repeat, "I need a moment to weigh my options." If you want to express uncertainty, use "I'm still thinking things through." Repeat, "I'm still thinking things through." When choosing between two options, say, "Both choices have their pros and cons." Repeat, "Both choices have their pros and cons." If you're ready to decide, use "I think I'm finally leaning in one direction." Repeat, "I think I'm finally leaning in one direction." And when confirming your choice, say, "Yes, that feels right to me." Repeat, "Yes, that feels right to me." Let's build these into a natural decision-making conversation. A says, "Have you made a choice yet?" B responds, "Not yet. I need a moment to weigh my options." A says, "What's holding you back?" B replies, "I'm still thinking things through." A asks, "What are the options?" B says, "Both choices have their pros and cons." A says, "Do you know which one you prefer?" B replies, "I think I'm finally leaning in one direction." A says, "So what's the decision?" B responds, "Yes, that feels right to me." Now shadow the dialogue slowly. A, "Have you made a choice yet?" B, "Not yet. I need a moment to weigh my options." A, "What's holding you back?" B, "I'm still thinking things through." A, "What are the options?" B, "Both choices have their pros and cons." A, "Do you know which one you prefer?" B, "I think I'm finally leaning in one direction." A, "So what's the decision?" B, "Yes, that feels right to me." Great. Now let's move to sentences you can use when expressing your emotional state in a mature and natural way. When you feel mixed emotions, say, "I'm experiencing a lot of different feelings at once." Repeat, "I'm experiencing a lot of different feelings at once." When something feels overwhelming, use "It's a bit much for me right now." Repeat, "It's a bit much for me right now." If you're starting to feel better, say, I'm beginning to feel more grounded. Repeat, I'm beginning to feel more grounded. When something brings comfort, use, this gives me a sense of peace. Repeat, this gives me a sense of peace. And when you want to express emotional clarity, say, I understand myself better now. Repeat, I understand myself better now. Let's turn these into a calming conversation. A says, you seem deep in thought. B responds, I'm experiencing a lot of different feelings at once. A says, do you want to talk about it? B replies, maybe later. It's a bit much for me right now. A says, that's all right. Take your time. B responds, thanks. I'm beginning to feel more grounded. A says, I'm glad. What helped? B replies, this gives me a sense of peace. I understand myself better now. Now shadow that conversation. A, you seem deep in thought. B, I'm experiencing a lot of different feelings at once. A, do you want to talk about it? B, maybe later. It's a bit much for me right now. A, that's all right. Take your time. B, thanks. I'm beginning to feel more grounded. A, I'm glad. What helped? B, this gives me a sense of peace. I understand myself better now. Excellent. Now, let's move into sentences used during meaningful conversations between friends or loved ones. When you want to express interest in someone's life, say, tell me what's been going on with you lately. Repeat, tell me what's been going on with you lately. When you want to show curiosity, use, I'd really like to hear more about that. Repeat, I'd really like to hear more about that. When listening actively, say, I hear what you're saying. Repeat, I hear what you're saying. When someone shares something personal, say, thank you for trusting me with that. Repeat, thank you for trusting me with that. And when giving reassurance, use, you're safe to share anything with me. Repeat, you're safe to share anything with me. Now let's build a warm, caring conversation. A says, we haven't talked in a while. B responds, I know, life has been overwhelming. A says, tell me what's been going on with you lately. B replies, it's a long story. A says, I'd really like to hear more about that. B responds, okay, but it's personal. A says, you're safe to share anything with me. B replies, thanks. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your support. A responds, thank you for trusting me with that. Now shadow the dialogue. A, we haven't talked in a while. B, I know, life has been overwhelming. A, tell me what's been going on with you lately. B, it's a long story. A, I'd really like to hear more about that. B, okay, but it's personal. A, you're safe to share anything with me. B, thanks. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your support. A, thank you for trusting me with that. Great. Now let's move to practical English for errands, appointments, and everyday responsibilities. When you want to request a time slot, say, do you have any availability this week? Repeat, do you have any availability this week? If you want to confirm a schedule, use I'll mark that on my calendar. Repeat, I'll mark that on my calendar. When something is delayed, say, there's been a slight change of plans. Repeat, there's been a slight change of plans. When you want to check timing, Say, what time works best for you? Repeat, what time works best for you? When something is urgent. Use, I need to take care of this as soon as possible. Repeat, I need to take care of this as soon as possible. Let's build an everyday coordination conversation. A says, do you have any availability this week? B responds, yes. How about Thursday? A says, that might work. What time works best for you? B replies, around 3 p.m. A responds, great. I'll mark that on my calendar. B says, sounds good. Unless there's a slight change of plans. A replies, if something comes up, let me know. I need to take care of this as soon as possible. Now shadow the conversation. A, do you have any availability this week? B, yes. How about Thursday? A, that might work. What time works best for you? B, around 3 p.m. A, great.